Hello, I'm Mark Tucker,
And I'm Darian Johnson,
and we are Two Voice Devs.
two voice devs.
So, as you notice, Ellen's gone this week, and we have a special guest, Darian Johnson. Hey, Darian, why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourself? I'll give you a little hint. He's a fellow Alexa champion with me, so maybe you can even talk about that.
Yeah, no. So yes, Mark and I are part of the first batch of Alexa champions. We've been going back and forth, I think, on Skype, not Skype, but now I can't even think of the tool, the chatting tool. Slack, yes, for I feel like years now. But I am a technology consultant by day. I spend my day helping my customers and my clients and my company use the AWS cloud primarily. And at night, I'm a maker and I'm a hacker and I'm a hardware designer and I do some software as well. And actually, my making journey started with Alexa. So my first making product 5 years ago was a smart mirror that had Alexa built into it, and that kind of started me on my maker journey. And happy to be here. Happy to talk about hardware. Happy to talk about software. Happy to talk about any and all things, I guess.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us about some of the other things that you've made over the year? They don't necessarily have to be voice enabled, but there's a couple that I'm thinking of that I'm pretty excited about. But why don't you share, projects you've done and maybe something you're currently working on?
Sure. So I'd say half of my projects are voice enabled. All of them are internet enabled. Almost all of them are internet connected. And most of them use some aspect of the public cloud to do compute. So my point of view is that microcontrollers are awesome and they can do one or two things really well. But if you can take a microcontroller and pair it with the capabilities of the public cloud, with high-speed compute and tons of storage, well, then you get the best of both worlds. And your microcontroller almost acts like a dumb terminal, and all of your heavy processing happens in the cloud. So there are a couple of things I've done. The first one is the Mystic Mirror. That's the one that I'm probably most known for, though it's the most stable. It's the most stale of my designs. That is a smart mirror that had Alexa voice service built into it. Imagine a very hacked up early version of like the Echo Show, right? Something like that. Like not polished, just some wood banged together with a computer screen behind it attached to a Raspberry Pi that displayed some things and integrated with Alexa. That was my first device. And that was awesome. Loved it. That got me the notice of the champions group. That became an Alexa champion. And then off I went. Two other things that are kind of interesting are my smart candles. So I wanted to take smart lighting and just make it better, right? I've got smart lights all in my home. They're all Alexa enabled. And I was trying to light candles for some reason. And I couldn't find matches. And I was just really frustrated that there wasn't a better version of a smart connected candle. So I designed one. That's actually built in wax, integrates with Alexa with all kind of smart home ecosystems, actually emits a scent because of wax warmer built in. So that's pretty cool. I think the other thing I'd list out is something that's not necessarily Alexa related, but is very, very cool for anyone who loves Star Trek, is my Star Trek mini display. And that is, I grew up on the Next Generation. Mm-hmm. Next Generation is the best. Don't at me. But I wanted to build a display that was operational, that showed my steps, wanted to show my calendar, wanted to show the news of the day. So I built something that mimics the LCARS display, the display that they use in the Next Generation and on the Enterprise. So those are three pretty cool projects, and I put them out into the wild. They're on GitHub, so people can download the code and make their own or make versions of their own. And I moved on. I'm starting some other stuff as well.
Well, that's really exciting. Yeah, no, the Star Trek computer, when I saw that just floored me. So I grew up on Next Generation as well. So I'm right there with you, one of my favorites. And so without getting into all the details, because I'm sure we could talk hours just on the Star Trek computer, but what are the types of like languages, hardware, just list them off, and then we'll transition over to the Alexa event that we just had last week.
Yes,
That also talks
yes.
about hardware. But let's
Yes.
let's talk a little bit for those who are interested, maybe what tech they would need to learn to do some of those projects.
Yeah, so I think there's two flavors of things that I use. One is a Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi is a computer, right? So it is a computer like a Mac or a Windows machine. You can connect the keyboard to it, you can connect the monitor to it, and you can run multiple commands. My first projects were built with a Raspberry Pi. So those are great devices for getting started, but they are a computer, which means you have to write code and manage the OS, right? So that can become complex and complicated. I then moved to microcontrollers, and the one that I use a lot is something as a chip from Espressif, which is a Chinese manufacturer, is the ESP32. S2, most makers know this chip. It's very versatile. It's got Wi-Fi. One of the versions has Bluetooth. All of my other projects have used that. In fact, my latest project uses that as well. So I'm big into displays, and I'm working on a low power display now that can sit on a mirror or sit on a board that is Wi-Fi enabled, as Alexa enabled. It's called the Newt. It was just released on Crowd Supply, which is a kind of a maker site for makers. It's a site for makers to buy hardware, to buy products. So hopefully that will be released in the next month or two. But those are probably the two things. The Raspberry Pi and ESP32. Use one of those two, you're going to get to where you need to go.
So what programming languages would you use to program the Newt or program the Raspberry Pi?
So for the Raspberry Pi, I almost always use Python. Maybe a little bit of Node.js for any display work. And then getting into the weeds a little bit, I use WebSockets for communication between the two. Like I find that Python makes the most sense for just getting information and interacting with the internet. And then I find that Node.js is much easier for display development. So I send messages back and forth that way. Okay. With the ESP32 and the ESP32 S2, I primarily use the Arduino IDE, and that's written in C or C++. There are other flavors that use MicroPython or CircuitPython, but for me, our Arduino is what I'm most comfortable with, and they're both Arduino compatible.
All right, no, great. That's exciting. You mentioned on your Star Trek computer that you had some information, things that were important to you, kind of like a personal dashboard. Is that
yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Let's get into some of the devices that Amazon announced. I'm assuming you're excited about the Echo Show 15. I know I really am.
Yeah, I am, and I'm not, and I'll explain. I think it's a fascinating device, and look, I like displays, right? I just spent the last 10 minutes talking about all these displays that I've made or I'm thinking about making. The 15 is a beautiful device. It works in landscape and in portrait mode. It has multiple widgets. I think that consumers will enjoy using it. I think that skill makers will enjoy making for it. I just wish I understand that the hardware has limitations and it has to be plugged in, but I'm a big believer in like going cordless. I don't know how you could design something like this that would last for longer than, a week on a battery charge, but it would be interesting to see if they could take this design and make it, last for a month or last for 2 months without charging. That way it becomes much more flexible. Like I'm not a big fan of like putting it on my wall with a huge cord going down, but maybe some people are. But outside of that, I'm really excited, hoping to get my hands on one when they become available and hoping to play around with it a little bit.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, with the cord. So I guess one of the options could be is that there could be rechargeable batteries, like kind of like a plug-in pack that you would recharge, and then like maybe a light would go on when it's time to recharge, and you would just like rotate batteries out, maybe.
That's what I was thinking. That, or I mean, part of the challenge is I just don't think that, for me at least, when I think about the trade-offs for low power, that means that I'm not getting my always on display, or I'm not getting an OLED that's very bright, or I'm not always going to see the time or the calendar, or I'm not going to be able to say, Alexa, and it respond automatically. Those are things that I would lose if it were to move to a low power device. But the things to gain are more flexibility in putting it up, more flexibility in places you can put it. So we'll see. it will be interesting to see what the next version of this looks like, but we'll see.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about widgets. Are you thinking those are a big game changer for developers, or?
I think so, but I don't know. I think they could be, but here are some of the things that I think a lot about. If I were to purchase an Echo Show 15, I would most likely put it in my family room so that the entire family could see it.
Right.
And that's fantastic, and it will work fine. And then the question would be, what are things that are important to me that I don't necessarily want my family to see, or things that I don't want guests to see, right? So let's say I cared about, my steps for the day. That's an easy one. Like, how many steps have I taken today, and what's my current weight? So I don't necessarily, that's not overly private information, but I don't need to know if my guests need to know that I'm, maybe slightly overweight this week because I ate too many slices of pizza. So I think the widgets thing will be cool, but I think there's a privacy aspect, not necessarily privacy from Amazon having your data, more along the lines of what things do you want shown on that screen? What widgets are available? What things should not be available? So that's just something that I think that the community will have to work through as developers build skills.
Yeah, and so they already have out the ability to have a voice ID. So like my son and I can talk to a device and like, who am I? And they'll say, oh, you are Mark on Mark's account, or you're, and so they've talked about that, and they've also talked about the fact that there's a camera in the Echo Show 15, and that there will be like a visual ID that they'll be able to identify, and that there'll be customization of the Echo Show 15. So I'm assuming what widgets show up, or what like if you've got a to-do list that's personal to you, or your calendar versus the a family calendar. So that's interesting. So I'm kind of wondering how that's going to play out, and what kind of work that's going to be from a developer's perspective to do that. But maybe you can switch your widgets, but depending on your profile. But it's interesting because, like, what if I walk up to it and I'll see my stuff, but if a guest comes up and takes a look at it, maybe they'll see something different, but they're like, hey, what's this? And you walk up to it and all of a sudden it switches to your your personal information.
Yeah, exactly. And look, I mean that problem exists today a little bit with not problems. Problem's the wrong word. I mean, certainly with the previous versions of the show that sit on a table, clearly they've got a display, and the same thing could maybe kind of happen. Yeah. It'll just be interesting to see. I think the other thing that I'm interested in understanding around widgets are widgets, and maybe this because I haven't done the research yet. Are widgets, can you set up a widget? So again, let's use health as an example again. Like, I want to know my steps, at a particular point in time. Currently today, like, there's a weather widget that would show up and tell me the weather for the hourly forecast. As a developer, could I create a widget that is displayed without the user interacting with the device? It just comes up in a normal display every 30 minutes. I don't know if that's possible or not.
Yeah. So my understanding in the first iteration, this is all from stuff from the event, and talking. Jeff Blankenberg had a separate session after on Twitch that I think you can go find. But my understanding is that a developer who has a skill can expose in that skill one or more widgets. And when you go to the device, there's a widget gallery which will list all of the widgets that are available, regardless if you have the the skill installed or not. So that's a great discoverability point. And then you can choose on the Echo Show 15, whether it's portrait or landscape, up to 6 widgets to always be on the screen at all the time. Now, if you've got another Echo Show device, there's a sliding panel that comes out that will show the widgets on it at various points. But yeah, you can. And my understanding is also that there is some data that gets pushed down to the device itself. So it's kind of a push model. If something changes in the system, so like maybe you have a widget that's showing the top scores for a game,
right?
Periodically, that information is going to need to be pushed down to every device.
Okay.
And I think there's an API that does that. So that's kind of my
Okay.
understanding of it. So it's kind of a push data model, but things
Got
are
it.
running just on the device, and it's APL. Um, so the stuff that you need that you already know with APL
Right.
is going to be 100% reusable
Okay.
for
Okay.
what you're doing. Yeah.
Have you thought about what you might, what use cases might work with this device for things that you might build or
Oh,
ideate
yeah.
on?
So I have a game called Picture Guesser, which is a
Right.
tile puzzle game. So I would think that every day I could have just an image that shows up that has tiles, and you can just like quickly
Got
play
it.
and tap because that will be all local. So kind of get them thinking about a tile game, and then you can probably like
Right.
push a button or something to then open up in the whole full screen your
Yeah.
your skill with the APL, and make sure that you're formatting things to the big EchoShow 15 format. Also, I've been thinking about I have a game called Snatchword,
Okay.
where periodically words get recycled through. People say words that then they kind of expire and are
Right.
available for people to snatch again. So I'm thinking of like a widget that would show those words that are available to snatch, and so then that would get people in, kind of back into my
Right.
game, like, oh, this is what this word's available, and I'm going to try to snatch it. And
So it's a way to even with Picture Guesser, you could expose a widget for even, so let's say I'm not a user or subscribed to that skill. But if you expose the widget, I might see it as I'm looking at widgets I might add, and that's a way to enhance me to activate that skill and use it. Huh.
yep. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay.
And the fact that it's on the, if it's one of the ones that I choose to be on the screen, then
Right.
that reminds me that it's available, and kind of gives me a daily reminder to go check it out. So
To go engage with the skill. Yeah.
it'll be great for things that have daily content, or ways to, I guess that's in the same lines as reminders or announcements
Right.
that you can use to help
I got
people, increase engagement.
one question for you, and you don't have to answer, so I'll stir the pot a little bit. But I think one of our fellow champions has asked this question, right? Is this moving towards voice first or away from voice first? Like, what's your take on this?
So to me, when they say voice first, I always think that it's got to be a solid experience when you don't have a screen,
Okay.
and that you can do things above and beyond that will enhance the experience with a screen. So I don't think it does go against it. You could
Okay.
see something that's showing up on the your dashboard, your family dashboard, or info center, whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
and say, oh, this is something. And then as you're walking out the door, and then you've got your Echo Auto in your car, and that reminds you to ask Alexa about that thing. And so then, I don't necessarily think it goes against it. It's just another avenue for engagement.
Got it. Okay. 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 I can be on board with that. I haven't really thought a lot about it, to be fair, but I know that others have asked that question and wondered, where is Amazon taking this? And I think there's room for both. I think there's room for the displays. I think there's room for the non-display devices. I think there's room for the things that sit in your car and sit on your glasses and sit in your earbuds. There's room in your phones and your watches. There's room for everything. There's enough Alexa to go every place. So Alexa should be every place. Anyway.
Yes, I think that's what they're going for. I think I even read this week where they're putting Alexa into refrigerators, and with cameras that will watch your food, kind of help you with that aspect.
So and I think that's interesting because this delves into one of the other products that was talked about, the Halo. The Halo is like there's different versions of it. I think it's called the View. I always get the name wrong, but it's the one it's the wristwatch.
Okay, so it's like the fitness tracker.
Yes, the fitness tracker.
Okay, because before they had the Halo, Amazon Halo, which was just the band,
right,
which would track heart rate and sleep and things. But this is kind of more of a full functioning competitor to the exercise watches, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think the question for me is like how much. Again, controversial take maybe. I have no problem. First off, let me start by saying I have no problem giving Amazon, mothership Amazon, all my data. Like I'm of the belief that data is just easy to be captured every place, and smart companies can correlate data between your email addresses and sites visited and just other things. So like I don't have a problem. Like I've accepted that, and now it's for me the so what is all about prevention of misuse of data, and then tracking to make sure that if there's a problem, I can do something, right? So anyway, all that being said, is there an issue where you got Amazon, via Alexa in your home, right? Serving up this content, and now they're getting information about you personally, right? They're tracking your heart rate and how often you exercise and whatever else. So they didn't feed that. Is there concern that that's fed into another, corporate system that's used for something else? I don't think so, but it does. I guess as Amazon decides to expand their reach, it will be interesting to see how people feel about that, right? Yep. Again, I'm fine with it, so I will probably be buying one. Like I'm all for like data integration, and the more that it can be gleaned about me as a person, maybe that makes better decisions. But maybe I put too much belief in the systems in the AI. Who knows?
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because I see a day in the future where your personal information, whatever you want to share, kind of goes with you. And it may not be something necessarily that the device itself knows about until you're there. So I don't know. It's definitely interesting to there's concerns about security, about getting hacked, and what now everybody knows what your weight is, and that you're a terrible sleeper, or I don't know.
Exactly. And I guess, and I know there are people who are concerned, but my pushback would be there are plenty of companies who know many, many things about you that we just may not be aware of. So let's get over like your phones. Phones are a perfect example. We carry our phones every place. They have a microphone. They have GPS. Like if someone was malicious in their intent, they could record, everything they wanted by your phone and track every place you go. But we have no problem taking our phones every place, even places we shouldn't go. So if we can carry our phone places, we should be fine having, using, smart home ecosystems like Alexa in our homes, and we should just be fine with it. That's my point of view, at least.
Yeah, it's definitely one of many opinions on the subject. What are you excited about as far as I don't know, either software or maybe additional hardware that would go along with the Halo View?
So I'm excited for this thing called Matter. Matter is a alliance, for lack of a better word, between smart home ecosystems. So Amazon's part of it, so it's Google, so it's Apple. Hardware manufacturers are part of it. So you've got all your smart light manufacturers and your smart thermostat manufacturers. They're all part of this ecosystem, and the goal is to make it very easy for those devices to talk to one another. I would have to assume that the Halo would be part of this as well. And just this concept of having a framework that allows these devices to talk much more easily opens up, I just think, a ton of possibilities to what a developer could make, what services they could provide, what things I, as a consumer, might be able to see and use. I just think it's really fascinating. I'm excited about that release. I think it comes out middle of 2022 is when they plan to push them out to devices, and I assume have an SDK available. I just think that is going to take hardware integration with Alexa to the next level. And I'm a big believer that, like, as great as the Alexa is, as great as the skills are, I just believe that having the Alexa work in your any smart device, right, ecosystem, to be fair, having it work in your physical world is the game changer. Like, it's one thing for it to talk to you, it's one thing for it to open a door for you, or to turn on something, or turn on or off a light, or to impact your physical world. I'm just very excited about what that might look like.
All right, and you think Matter's going to open up that possibility quite a bit?
That's the promise of it. The promise of it is that it removes the barrier of entry for software and hardware developers to better integrate hardware with their smart home ecosystem. Now, that's the promise. We'll see, but it sounds like it's going to be pretty awesome. But I've been disappointed before, so we'll see. We'll find out. We'll find out in another year or 6 months.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm amazed over in the last few years since I started being a champion is just how many smart home devices that Alexa connects with. That it's just mind blowing how much effort they've put into making things super
Yeah.
easy. I remember thinking about and kind of tinkering around like, oh, I do a smart home and I'm going to do an X10 plug, and I just remember how clunky it was
Right.
researching that and just thinking, man, that is a lot of
Yeah.
money and a lot of effort. And and then you had competing standards and all kinds of stuff. And I think a lot of those
Yes.
are being solved.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I think that, yeah, I mean, even in my home, we've probably got two or three different communication standards, which means I've got two or three different hubs. Like one set of lights works fine with my Echo Plus, which has a Zigbee adapter, so it talks by Zigbee. Another one uses a different wave technology. Another one uses something else. I literally have three hubs in my office connected to my router to connect all of my different smart lights and my alarm system and everything else. And that's just a little too much sprawl. It's just hard and I'm a tech guy, right? I grew up in tech, and it's hard, right? I couldn't imagine the average consumer saying, "Oh, let me get this hub for this thing, this hub for this thing." I do think standardization will be.
And what's a hub again? And they're
exactly.
still
What's a
trying to
hub?
figure out.
And where do I plug it? And like, what app do I use? And the light goes to this hub or to this hub. Yeah, it's too much. It's too much. So we'll see. We'll see. And I think the show actually is going to be a really big part of that. Like one of the things that drives me nuts is that my kids leave their lights on upstairs, right? Mm-hmm. And then I don't know if the lights on or off, or then I've got to go do the whole Alexa turn off the upstairs lights and everything. Like sometimes it would be nice as I'm walking out the door to just push two buttons. Like it would be great to walk by my Ethel Show 15 on my wall and push one button to see what lights are on and another button to turn them off. Like to me, that I think would be faster than, let me stop. Let me walk to Alexa. Let me tell it to this. Let me have this 8 seconds of back and forth. Like sometimes I don't want dialogue. Sometimes I just want to push two buttons and go about my business.
So have you investigated? I don't know if the routines do this yet, but have you investigated just like geofencing and then being able to just do a routine that turns off all your lights? Is it to that point yet?
I have. I think you could do that. I think the problem is it has to be a complex set of geofencing because the rules might change depending on the day or the circumstance. Meaning, okay, yeah, if I'm the last person in a couple of things. If the kids, let's pretend we use phones, right? So again, my oldest are in high school, my youngest in elementary school. I've got 4 and 3 of them have phones, right? We are pretty strict parents, so they don't get their phones all the time. Their phones have to come downstairs at some point. Or sometimes we might even take the phones with us. So like depending, like the phone is not always on their person. And that might dictate whether something should be on or off, or maybe it's in the summer and they're here and I'm leaving. Like, it's just, it's certainly doable, but it's a lot easier when it's one person. It's a lot harder when there's 6 people in the house. We all have phones that can be used for those type of capabilities.
Yeah, no, that is interesting. So there is some chaos that needs to be tamed as far as
yes.
how these things work just the way that we work. Because
right.
Things are different during the day versus at night, weekday versus weekend,
summer versus school year, all that stuff.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. Oh, and now they're on summer breaks or fall break or whatever.
Exactly.
So now it's
exactly. So maybe that's something that we'll look at. I mean, right now it's just easier to just turn the lights off or just go upstairs and turn them off by hand. But maybe 5 years from now we'll have more integration and it'll be cleaner.
Yeah, so I think some of it is trying to make the interface easy for us, and some of it, even though voice is a natural interface that we use, there is some training on our side as far as what's possible, or some habits to form. Like maybe you have to say a certain keyword when you're heading out the door, and so I think we definitely have some more work in that area, and it's really been made possible with having this device that understands you in your home. And it's just it's been growing, and lots of different players are getting involved. But Alexa's done a good job at making something that wasn't in the home very useful to be
Right.
in the home.
And I don't think people get this. In fact, my son and I had this conversation because one of our older Alexa devices just stopped working. And I don't know why it stopped working. And I was kind of like, oh, we should probably troubleshoot. I was like, you know what, buddy? I've got like 4 other devices downstairs unplugged. Let's just switch it out because I don't have the time for this. Anyway, he was like, I don't understand. Like, they're all the same. I was like, buddy, they're so different. Version 1 versus version 4. I just don't think that the average consumer realizes how much technology goes into this and the refreshes that happen. Like, for example, the first versions of the Echo Show, like the Puck, required an internet connection for almost all of its commands. The current version of the versions coming out now, a lot of that's offloaded on the device. So it will still turn on and off lights and set alarms and do things without internet connectivity. You can, like, moving that stuff closer to you means a better experience, a faster response time, less concerns about security because you can choose to have some of your data, some of your things sit on the device. It's really fascinating. And I know that we don't talk about it a lot as a developer community, and I know the consumers don't, but it's just, it's interesting to see how this device is evolving.
Yeah. So not only do you go from the Pringles can and hockey puck to the Sphere, and now you get branded things. You got kid specific versions.
Yeah.
That they talked about last week at this event. Hey Disney. So now there's going to be some new new tie-ins there. So there's a lot that's happening.
They are
evolving.
Yeah. They are. And I like I like, for the most part, their methodology of, hey, let's try something like this. Throw it to the wall and see what sticks, right? Yeah. Is it al dente, right? I like that, except when the device is not continued. Like I'm trying to think of the name of the device that I absolutely love. And I have a couple. The tap, like the old Echo Tap that's now discontinued. Yeah. I love that device. And maybe I'm one of the only ones in the world that loves it. But
yeah, so we could go off and list. We could do the tap. We could do the Dash Wand.
Yes.
The Echo Look.
Yes.
was a short-lived product. Yes. The Spot.
Yes, the Spot. Yep, another one that I still use. So all these old devices still get used in my home, but I understand why maybe they weren't as popular. But I like the fact that Amazon is continuing to push the envelope there and putting out consumer products, and they're trying to see what works, what doesn't work, and then innovating and iterating based off feedback.
Yeah, that's exactly. Cool. Well, we've got just a few more minutes here to talk, and we at least have to mention the Astro. I know it had probably a lot of wow factor. I think it did what it was supposed to do, which was like get conversation talking, right, get some excitement up, and just like, wow, let's do what Amazon's doing. It's a invite only release, and it's a robot that roams around your house. Not unlike maybe your smart vacuum that just goes around the house. Though the Astro in this incarnation does not isn't a vacuum as well. But
not yet, also, at least. We'll see. Maybe that changes.
Yeah, maybe that does change. Maybe that's a future version. But then the face of Astro is a display device, and so I can only assume that that's going to be just like your other Echo Show type devices, where you can then talk to it and see a screen and tap and stuff.
I've been thinking a lot about that. My wife and I made the joke that's like, we've got 2 cats and a dog, and yeah, it sounds as crazy as it sounds, but we make it work anyway. And I was like, you know what? In 5 years, we're going to have all, electronic mechanical pets. Like, they'll crawl around and wheel around, and it'll be great because we don't have to walk them. We don't have to clean cat litter or pick up poop or whatever. Like, they'll be all electronic. I don't know. I think it's fascinating, and it certainly spurred conversation. I don't know what the end game is. I don't know if the end game is, hey, let's just show you what the art of the possible is, which is certainly that, or if it's hey, no, we really believe that there is some percentage of the market that would want this and would be willing to spend the money to have a device like this. I just, I don't know. I don't know what the future of the Astro is, but it is certainly getting people talking.
Yeah, so they've talked about that it can, walk around your house and, kind of roam around and be a sentry of sorts,
Right.
checking on things. There's the idea of like, oh, I turn the stove off, go
Right.
check, so that type of thing. There's cup holders built in the back. So, somebody, you could send it into the kitchen and somebody could put a beverage in there for you and send it back. So, but it's also interesting because, like you say, pets serve a purpose.
Right.
And these devices, even, if they're not pets, provide connectivity to families, maybe older parents
Yeah.
that might be living alone. And so, anything that's convenient where the device can come to the person, that might be a big thing. I think there's tons of opportunities for accessories and
Right.
add-ons and different versions that would do different things, but just getting one of these devices into homes is a step forward.
It is. Like, I mean, 5 years from now, we should schedule it now. Let's talk in 5 years and let's see. Like, there might be, it could die on the vine, or it could be this whole new way to interact with smart homes, and that becomes the norm. Like, I really don't know. I have no earthly idea, but I'm excited to see where it goes. And I give, Amazon kudos, right? Kudos for making it. Kudos for getting the conversation going. And let's just see where it goes.
Yeah, and they're one of the few companies that are in the position where they're like, well, let's just build it and see what happens, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So cool. There were lots of other things.
So what are you?
Oh,
yeah, I was going to ask, what are you excited about?
Oh,
like, we talked a lot about what I'm excited about. What are you excited about?
Yeah, I'm excited about the Echo Show 15. I'm already thinking about like what widgets, how am I going to widgetify the skills that I have? What other widgets could be made available? Just understanding that, I think, is going to be a big thing. So that's probably the thing I'm most excited about.
Okay.
There are some other devices, like I'm interested in what the Echo Glow is going to be. Or actually, It might even just be the Amazon Glow. I'm not even sure how much Alexified it is, or how similar.
I always get confused when it's called yeah.
So I think it's officially titled the Halo Glow, and it's kind of this device that's mostly vertical. That's got kind of a portion of it that's a screen, but then it also projects onto a tabletop. And then that can be interactive. So you could be talking to somebody and then maybe playing a game of sorts that's been projected. I just think that's like totally different than anything that I've seen.
So I was actually thinking about that. And I was actually thinking about Picture Guesser when I heard about this or read about it. Certainly when I heard about it, when it was released, and I read a little bit about it this last weekend. Could you project Picture Guesser onto a table with that and potentially have someone push? Like, can you?
I think so.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I'm wondering. Is it even APL behind the scenes?
Right.
Is it some completely different thing from skills from the model that we're used to making? I don't know. So it will be interesting to see that. I could also see where like maybe. You don't have to have that on both ends. I guess like a child could have that, and somebody on the other end could be talking to their Echo Show type device that would then do the two-way communication. But what if you had one of those on each end and you're playing a card game, and so the projection on your side would be your cards, and the projection on the other side would be somebody else's cards.
That would be kind of cool. Or a chess game, or a checkers game, like a Battleship, or like you could. That will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how this develops.
So my hunch is that it's going to be something completely different. I'd be surprised and excited if it was the same, skill set technologies that I already know for developing multimodal skills. But we'll just have to see when we get some more information out. But that's something that I'm kind of, excited about for the future when it comes out, or more information comes out about it. But the thing I'm really the most excited about is the widgets and the Echo Show 15.
Okay. Well, we will see when it starts to get in people's hands and we start to see skills in the wild. It'll be interesting to see how people innovate what do they use it.
Well, exactly. Well, hey, Darian, I just really appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule. It's been awesome talking to you.
No, this is like I was saying beforehand, like I'm off this week, so it's nice. Like normally at this time I'd be in a series of client calls and doing like day job stuff, which is extremely important. It pays the bills, but it's nice to have a week off and like I've got all my hardware on my desk. I've been tinkering and making and building. I was able to do this podcast. It's fantastic. Love it. Thank you so much for inviting me and having me.
Yeah, well, great. And hey, just to our listeners out there, we'd love to know what you're thinking about as far as these devices. We didn't get a chance to cover everything that was in the event, but what are you excited about? What questions do you have? And we'd love to hear that. We'll also give you some links to some of the projects that Darian's working on, and you can just see the Star Trek computer and the candles, the mirror, whatever that you're excited about, and maybe you'll start being inspired and becoming a maker as well.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we'll wrap up. Thank you for this episode, and we're signing off. Two Voice Devs.
Two Voice Devs.
Take care, everybody. Thanks, Darian.
No problem.